Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Emperor Poxal and welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. And for today's video, we're going to be ranking the Bleach movies from worst to best. But before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm currently pushing for 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so every subscriber counts, and any help you guys can give me towards this goal would be greatly appreciated. Also, drop a like and don't forget to turn on post notifications to support the channel. And without all further ado, let's get into the worst Bleach film. The worst Bleach film of all time has to be the Bleach Live Action. Now don't get me wrong, the live action film isn't that bad. Keyword, that bad. Compared to other live actions, it's phenomenal actually. I just have several problems when it comes to the film. The story of the film follows the first arc of the anime and manga, however it makes several key differences to the story that negatively affect the film. The core difference being Grand Fisher, Byakuya, and Renji. And at that point, the majority of the film is telling an almost entirely different story. Like, it feels like it's an alternate universe from the manga and anime. And at that, a completely inferior one. I also don't know if I was the only one, but in my opinion, the costumes didn't feel real. Not saying that they were necessarily bad, but they just felt a little corny, at least to me. Overall, I give this live action film a 4.5 out of 10. Let's move on to the next film. The second worst film on the list would have to be the Diamond Dust Rebellion. Now don't get me wrong, this film isn't necessarily bad. It's interesting actually, as it expands one of the Bleach characters quite well, and that character being Toshiro Hitsugaya. The story of the film is quite interesting as well, following a hidden past of Toshiro's as he goes out and runs away from the Gotai 13. The film is alright. I love the soundtrack and I also love Toshiro's struggles throughout the film. I also love the main villain and his backstory and drive. Not any of the other villains, just the main one. One of the other things it does that I absolutely love though is how it furthers the idea of corruption within the Soul Society, which is something I love when Bleach does. It also adds more details about the universe of Bleach, although they are all filler at the end of the day. But out of everything, I think the best part is that Soifone has ninjutsu! 6 out of 10. The third best movie on the list is Fade to Black. My problems with Fade to Black go to the moon. I love the villain force of the film, and I think they are the second strongest villain group when it comes to the films, with Diamond Dust Rebellion having a better villain overall. But the film just makes some things just really weird in my opinion, and it really pushes the Ichiruki stuff, which is an uncanon ship. This brings about problems for people who don't realize that this film isn't canon. For those that are unfamiliar with the film's story though, the premise is basically that Mayuri creates an invention which is used by invaders to attack the Soul Society. These two invaders having the ability to wipe several characters from the minds of every member of the universe. I do like how the characters begin to question what's been added into their mind. Byakuya questions stuff about Hisana, why she went out. There are holes inside of his memory that he begins to question, and those are some of the best moments of the series. Or when Rukia tries to remember Ichigo. Same thing with Renji's involvement. In my opinion, this movie is actually pretty good, all things considered. It's not terrible, but was actually an alright film. All things considered though, it really did feel like an Ichiruki fan-made film, and was alright at best. It's another 6 out of 10. This movie can go hand to hand with Diamond Dust Rebellion. It just depends on my mood and which one I think is better. In fact, some days I might think Diamond Dust Rebellion is better than Fade to Black, other days I think Fade to Black is better. I think the premise of Fade to Black is better, but like the actual story and core of Diamond Dust Rebellion is superior. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on. The second best film is the Hellverse film. This film out of all the films had the most potential, especially with the whole concept being so bloody underutilized until that most recent chapter. I think overall though, despite that, the film is alright in writing. It just showcases some really interesting lore that everybody has been wanting to see. This film is built off of hype and hype alone, and it uses that very well. I can understand why so many people think this is the best film out of the Bleach films, because if it wasn't for my bias, I think I might agree as well. Overall, the main villain force of the film is okay at best. I do love the twist at the end that I will not be spoiling, and Ichigo's new form. It also perfectly encapsulates the dread of hell itself, and why people should fear going there. The story slash premise basically follows Ichigo Kurosaki as he is trying to save his sister who was kidnapped by criminals from hell, who managed to escape. Yeah, I know it's another maiden in distress story, okay? Ichigo basically befriends someone from hell and goes to go rescue this maiden in distress, aka Yuzu. However, there's more than meets the eye with this new friend that he made from hell. I love how this film starts off by showing Vaster Lorde Ichigo versus Ukiura in movie level animation, as those 2 minutes, in my opinion, are the best part of the entire film. Like, oh my gosh, that fight was incredible. I also do think it does have some accuracy issues. It tries to connect hollows to hell in a really weird lore way that I don't really think works that well personally. But either way, the film isn't canon, so it doesn't really matter in the end. I love Ohime and Ichigo's moments in the film, and overall I think I would give the film like a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. Finally, the moment you guys have all been waiting for, the Bount arc, the film. Wait, what? That doesn't exist. Okay, the best Bleach film is Memories of Nobody, and I know I'm a bit biased here for some reason, and I don't know why I'm answering with this film. I just have to say that I find it more interesting every time I watch it. This is probably like the most unpopular opinion when it comes to the Bleach films, so don't expect you to love it if you guys are watching it. Originally, when I watched it the first time, well, the second time because I've rewatched it for this video, it was like a 5.5 or 6 out of 10, but then I rewatched it a third time and it became a 7 out of 10 for me. The film follows Ichigo once again when these strange monsters known as blanks appear. Then out of nowhere, the main new filler character Senna arrives, and Senna's story is actually really interesting. Out of all the filler characters of Bleach, she is my favorite. Also know that's not because she's a waifu, but it's actually because she's a really well written and interesting character, which I really liked her story. And while the story itself isn't canon, the lore provided was canonized by Kubo, so that gives you an actual purpose in watching the film without feeling like it's a waste of space in the story. I don't want to give anything away that much, because that would kind of spoil the whole twist in the film. The villain group is kind of poorly written in my opinion. They're just they just feel like they're bad to be bad. And it's probably the worst villain group of the 4 animated films. I do like the more slow pacing the movie decides to take, and how it eventually expands Senna's character throughout the entirety of the film. In fact, with the ending we received, this film doesn't mess up any events that take place in the canon story, and would work, which makes it a good filler movie in my opinion, because it doesn't feel like it's just a move to make some money. I know how unpopular this take will be, but again, it's just my opinion. I'm excited to hear your guys' opinion, and like I said in the start, the film is a 7 out of 10. Personally, I'd recommend watching all 4 of these films. Granted, I will say Fade to Black is a film that's better if you don't know the actual story of Bleach, as they change the dynamic between Ichigo and Rukia pretty heavily. They all are actually interesting, I guess, at the end of the day, and I genuinely do love all of them. I will say Memories of Nobody is a film I do really enjoy at the end of the day. But I do want to clarify one thing: they are nothing compared to the canon story of Bleach. They are nowhere near that level of quality and writing. But a lot of them were better than the majority of the anime filler arc. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today's video. Subscribe, like, and comment. This idea came from the homie What If Universe, aka Drew himself. My name is Poxal, and in the words of Ginichimaru, bye bye.